To have Leo Gerard on the line with us, the international president of the United Steelworkers Union. USW.org is the website. President Gerard, welcome back.
Good to be with you.
Great to have you with us. You wrote this piece. The GOP has an app for that. Tell me about this.
Well, the GOP's got an app for everything.
But this is the Working Families Flexibility Act.
Yeah. That's where they, again, they're masters of using trick language, but this is to do away with overtime and replace it with comp time. And the way that the bill is written is just the way you'd expect it to be written by them. It's got the ability of the management to replace overtime. So if you worked 8 hours, they replace it with 8 hours off. But the problem is that first of all, it does away with the time and a half overtime issue, and that would take a big chunk of money out of working folks' pockets. Then the next piece is that you don't get to take the day off when you need it. You get to take the day off or part of the day off when they tell you to. So theoretically, you could have someone that the boss comes in tonight and says, I need you to stay tonight. So you'd work an overtime shift, but you wouldn't get overtime. You get 8 hours of comp time. But then the boss could say, well, take 4 hours on Thursday and 4 hours on Friday. So I called it forced flexibility.
So literally the boss could tell you, or could say, just take 1 hour off each one of these following 8 days or whatever, and you'd have no way of planning around it. You basically, workers lose all control of their own schedules with regard to overtime.
Forced flexibility. And the reality of this is, Tom, in real terms, it takes money out of working class people's pockets. Overtime is something that we've had since the 1940s. It came with the 8-hour day, and then they're trying to move to the 12-hour day and the 10-hour day, and forced flexibility, as I call it.
Right.
And the thing that's so disgusting and really disappointing is that for some reason the modern Republican Party seems to have as their agenda weakening the standard of living of middle class and working class folks, pushing everybody down into poverty. I was in a debate with some guy the other night. We're talking about the minimum wage, and the president wants to move it from where it is to $9. I said, let's have a discussion at $10 an hour. $10 an hour at a 40-hour work week, and you work a 4.5-week month. That's $1,800. Who can live in New York City or Chicago or Pittsburgh or any place? Who can live for $1,800 a month if you got kids, even on your own? And yet some of that would be overtime they would take away. That's at a minimum wage of $10, Tom, not $7.25.
Well, I think, President Gerard, that actually, I mean, if you go back to the core of Reaganomics, if you go back to like Russell Kirk's 1951 book, or 52 book, The Conservative Mind, which, William F. Buckley and Barry Goldwater and Ronald Reagan all cited as basically the Bible of modern economic theory. What he was calling for, essentially, in that book was to destroy the middle class. That the middle class, that if a large group of people became wealthy enough that they felt relatively independent of their employers. I mean, what Russell Kirk was predicting in the 1950s, if the trends that were coming out of, at post-World War II continued, unionization and other things, was that eventually women would start demanding their rights, minorities would start demanding their rights, unions would start getting in the way of business, profitability of billionaires, and that even students would start rising up. And when all that happened in the 60s, I mean, all these Republicans went, aha, I told you so. And thus, Reagan, the 1980s Reaganomics, they're trying to take us back to 19th century England, to Dickens' world.
Yeah. And if you put that beside the Lewis Powell memo about the corporate leadership and the already rich and powerful taking control of the political system, you don't have to like it, but you got to admire the determination of the right wing. They don't write a 6-month plan. They don't have an election and say, well, it didn't quite turn out, so let's go back to the drawing board. They've been on this agenda for close to 40 years.
Yeah.
And now they're starting to see that their dreams are coming true, and they're our worst nightmares. And I really think it's Tom, people like you and other progressive shows that have to educate the public that we can't sustain a democracy in this kind of an environment. I thought Elizabeth Warren was fantastic when she is going to introduce a bill. Now, in reality, it won't pass, but it's going to make a hell of a good debate when she says student loans should get the same interest rate as what the Fed gives to big banks.
Right.
You know, if we can give student loans a 0.25 interest rate instead of a 4.5% or 5% or 6%, we'll help them out. But this is just to make the point that they're prepared to bankroll the big banks at 0.25, but they're not prepared to do that with kids.
Well,
and trying to make an education.
And kids shouldn't even need to. I mean, when Ronald Reagan came into office, and again, this is all Reaganomics. When Ronald Reagan came into office, about 80% of the total cost of college tuition nationwide was paid for by state, federal, local, or governments, or by the colleges themselves. Only 20% was paid by the students. Now that's flipped upside down. 24% is paid by other agencies, and 76% is paid by students.
Yeah. And if you look at the countries we're told we have to compete with, and certainly in the manufacturing sector, their education system is more the way it used to be for us.
Yeah.
Their kids go to lifetime learning for workers, upgrading their skills all the time at very little cost, if any cost.
Yeah.
And we've got the opposite. We don't even have apprenticeships anymore in our workplaces.
Yeah. This is. Are we seeing the final fulfillment of Reaganomics here, President Leo Gerard of the United Steelworkers? And if so,
I think.
When does it collapse?
Look, I think if President Obama's 4-year term is going to be the way that it started off in the last 4 months, we're going to be in a, I think, irrecoverable downward skid. And I think the only solution to this is hopefully taking back the House, if we're talking about doing it democratically, is taking back the House in 2014. One of my big disappointments, Tom, and I don't mean this to be a criticism, is that we had a movement that sprung out of frustration, and the Occupy movement. Mm-hmm. The problem with the Occupy movement is we didn't ask for anything. Yeah. We just occupied, and we fizzed out. If that Occupy movement could come back to life, and many people are trying to help it come back to life, people like Van Jones, if we could make that Occupy movement come back to life and stay mobilized, I think we could change the political direction of the country. The reality is the Republicans, as I said, I don't have to like them, but I admire their determination, their stick-to-itness. They've got an agenda, and they aren't backing down. They don't give a damn if the country collapses around them. They're going to drive their agenda.
Well, in fact, that would help their agenda.
I don't want they'll help, but I don't want the country to collapse. I want it to succeed. And so that means rebuilding infrastructure, putting people back to work, refocusing on manufacturing. I'm not naive. We're not going to turn it around in 6 weeks or 6 months, maybe in 6 years or 6 or 8 years. But we've got to change the direction. I've been one of the guys and I'm proud of myself and my union about fighting for manufacturing.
Yeah.
But there's an old Chinese saying I heard a long time ago, and I thought, man, that was kind of silly. And then I started thinking about it, and the saying goes like this: unless you change direction, you will continue in the direction in which you are heading. The direction we are heading is not good for working people. It's not good for the middle class. It's not good for democracy.
Well said. Leo Gerard, President of the United Steelworkers, USW.org. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.